So Hare Krishna, Prabhu Madhagis, welcome all of you to this Srimad Bhagavad Gita session. So today we'll be discussing with 10th chapter, verse number 11, one of the seed verses. Jagannath Baldeswara Mai ki jai, Lord Gopal ki jai, Bhagavan ki Panchatattva ki jai, Shri Goswami ki jai, Guru Parampara ki Shri Prabhupada ki jai, Om Gyantam Nam Sikana, Chakchuram Tantas, Namo Vishnu, Namaskar Swami. So let us recite this verse first. Teshamevanukampartham aham ajnanajam tamah nashayamyatmabhavasto jnanadipena bhasvata. Teshamevanukampartham aham ajnanajam tamah nashayamyatmabhavasto jnanadipena bhasvata. Translation by Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. To show them special mercy, I, dwelling in their hearts, destroy with the shining lamp of knowledge the darkness born of ignorance. In this chapter, the very first verse, Krishna says, he's telling to Arjuna, listen again, O mighty Arjuna, because you are my dear friend, for your benefit, I shall speak to you further, giving knowledge that is better than what I have already explained. So Krishna says Arjuna is his dear friend. So wonderful, right? Krishna is telling Arjuna as his dear friend. So if we just think about it, see, which is best? Whether I telling that Prime Minister is my dear best friend, or the Prime Minister telling that I am his best friend. Which is best? See, the connection between 9th chapter and 10th chapter. In the 9th chapter, Krishna ends it with a very important point, saying that what to fix the mind on Krishna. That's why Man Mana Bahamad Bhakto Madhyaji Man Maskuru, right? That verse was there, 9.34, last verse. So he's ending that 9th chapter with the importance to fix the mind on Krishna. Sorry, can you please mute? So therefore, this 10th chapter describes the Lord's opulence, on which a devotee can fix his mind, and how to remember Krishna when we see this opulent, the very powerful and beautiful things in this world. So the conclusion of chapter 9 is that one should become a pure devotee of Krishna. So therefore, chapter 10 will increase our devotion. How? By hearing more about Krishna's opulences. So we have the seed verses, which this is what is being discussed, right? The seed verses in Bhagavad Gita are from 10.8, 9, 10, and 11. These are very important verses. In fact, the 10.8 verse, it summarizes Krishna's opulences. And the result of truly knowing Krishna's opulences, one becomes a pure devotee. That is 10. Aham sarvasya prabhu matasaram, right? Then 10.9 verse describes how a pure devotee worships Krishna. So 10.8 summarizes his opulences, and the result of truly knowing his opulences, one becomes a pure devotee. And 10.9 describes how a pure devotee worships Krishna. And 10.10 and 11, these two verses describe Krishna's reciprocation with their loving worship. See, this human form of life is compared to a highway on which we are traveling for miles and miles. And there is only one exit out from it. That is devotional service, which takes us to Goloka. All the other exits, whichever we take, we run around in circles, bringing us back to the same highway. If we miss that one exit, we are back in square one. So it gives us the real urgency to utilize this precious, very, very precious human life we have got to come out forever from this vicious cycle, birth, death, old age, and disease, janma, mritu, jara, vyadi. So let us see what is the importance of the seed verses in Bhagavad Gita. See, as soon as you come to Bhagavad Gita, we may decide that we have to study it, right? But we do not know from where to start. I've seen so many people, they say, Prabhuji, I've got this Bhagavad Gita. How to start? Where to start? Which chapter, which verse? They used to ask, or right from the beginning. So there are 700 verses in Bhagavad Gita. But these four verses, seed verses, 10.8, 10.9, 10.10, and 10.11, which we are studying right now, they are the seed verses. Seed, we know, right? That is what which you put into the ground and water it. Big trees come out of it. It's a small seed, huh? But the whole big tree comes out of it. Similarly, these verses, seed verses are very important. In fact, out of these four seed verses, the 700 verses of Bhagavad Gita is coming up. That is why these verses are very, very important. See, nobody will tell you unless unless you are very serious about studying these things, unless you ask how to start. And first of all, you should buy a Bhagavad Gita, right? Bhagavad Gita is by Srila Prabhupada. Then start studying. Then you will ask questions. See, nobody will check whether whether you have studied it or not. Okay. It is our duty to find out Bhagavad Gita and try to get into it as soon as possible. Otherwise, see, as it is, our life is full of so many bad activities. So, in order to stop those bad activities, we have to strive. We have to try again and again. Because in all our lives, in all the previous lives, we have performed all these activities. And that is why even in human life also, we have the same tendencies. But in this life, we have a higher consciousness, the human form. We can identify what is right, what is wrong, right? That is higher consciousness. And we can think with our brain what is good for us, what is bad for us. So the very sane person, what does he do? He forsakes the bad activities and comes to the good side. And as soon as you come to the good side, then the acharyas like Prabhupada and his representatives, they are insisting that Bhagavad Gita has to be studied. At least few verses we must know, so that we can convince our mind. Not only other, no need for other mind, our own mind. To convince our own mind, at least few verses we must know. And in order to convince our mind, the first verse, 10.8, is very powerful. Aham sarvasya prabhavo mattas sarvam pravartate iti matva bhajante mam buddha bhava samanvitaha. Please hear, the translation is very wonderful. God Krishna is telling. That's why we are going to worship Krishna. Why worship Krishna? Because of this verse. Krishna says, I am the source of all spiritual and material worlds. Everything emanates from me. The wise who perfectly know this engage in my devotional service and worship me with all their hearts. So, Aham Sarvasya Prabhu, I am the source of all generation, spiritual and material. Mattas Sarvam Pravartate. From me, everything emanates. Iti Matva. Those who know this, Bhajante Mam, they will start worshipping me. They become devoted to me. That means they become very intelligent. So they lovingly worship Krishna in the morning and evening. 24 hours. Right? There are these different steps of yoga. See, when one knows the goal is Krishna. See, everybody knows the goal is Krishna, right? So when one knows the goal is Krishna, but what happens, he is addicted to the fruits, then it is known as Karma Yoga. Understood? When one knows the goal is Krishna, but is addicted to the fruits, right? Then that is Karma Yoga. When one knows the goal is Krishna, but he takes pleasure in mental speculation to understand Krishna, he is acting in Jnana Yoga. When one knows the goal and seeks completely in Krishna consciousness and devotional service, he is acting in Buddhi Yoga or Bhakti Yoga. So the complete yoga is the highest perfection stage, Bhakti Yoga. So Lord gives the intelligence in Bhakti Yoga. Krishna helps. How does Krishna help? See, one may have a bona fide spiritual master and may be attached to a spiritual organization. But still, if he is not intelligent enough, Krishna from within gives him instructions to come to him. That's why Krishna helps, because you have the sincere desire. And the only qualification is be sincere and devoted to the activities of devotional service. And the only expectation is one should perform some sort of seva, some sort of work for Krishna with love. Very important. See, the culmination of all our spiritual practices is to lead us to a strong faith in Krishna's greatness and his unlimited power, right? See, the unlimited power of his holy names, Hare Krishna Mahamantra. So this faith comes by the study of Bhagavad-gītā, Bhagavatam with clear intelligence. And the clarity of intelligence comes by the mercy of Krishna. That's why Krishna says 10.11 Tesham evanukam partham aham ajnanajam tamaha nashayami atma bhavastu jnanadipena bhasvata. To show them special mercy, I, dwelling in their hearts, destroy with the shining of knowledge, lamp of knowledge, the darkness born of ignorance. So without Krishna's mercy, however great a scholar one may be, he cannot understand the conclusion of the Vedas. There is a nice story illustrating this truth. In Sri Rangam, there lived a great scholar and devotee called Parashara Bhattar. He wrote very wonderful commentary on the Vishnu Sahasranama. So he was having many disciples and he used to teach different types of scriptures. So what happened? Every day, one Pandit, he used to walk across his house with his disciples. So the Pandits were very learned in the scriptures, and he was adored by everyone. Parashar Bhattar was not paying full attention to this Pandit and not talking to him too much also. At the same time, what happened? One poor Brahmana, who was a family man, householder, Grasta, he also used to walk by Paras Bhattar's house every day, crossing his house. So he was not, actually that Brahmana, poor Brahmana was not a master of in any scriptures or Sanskrit. He used to collect alms from every house in his brass vessel, okay, and take it as his daily food. So while he was doing this, he used to chant the holy names and some shlokas, even incorrectly sometimes. But Parasar Bhattar, he would eagerly go to this Brahmana every day and ask him about his welfare and he will talk to him. Now, Bhattar's disciple, because he doesn't used to come to the Pandit also, but only the Brahmana. So Bhattar's disciples were puzzled by this behavior of Parasar Bhattar, right? So they asked Guruji, Guruji, you are not talking to that Pandita, but you are so much respecting that poor Brahmana. He does not have any knowledge of scriptures, not even a single shloka. Why is it so? So Bhattar replied, please wait, you'll understand this tomorrow. Next day, when the Pandit passed by, but Parasar Bhattar invited this Pandit into his house and offered him a seat in all respects. And then he asked the Pandit, I have one small question. Please answer. Parat Tattva Nama Kim? Parat Tattva Nama Kim? Who is the ultimate reality and what is his name? This was the question Parasar Bhattar asked this Pandit. The Pandit became nervous and said, this is the same question for which I also don't have an answer. I thought you will ask something else. After reading all the scriptures, I'm still very much confused about Paratattva. And he left the place. After some time, the Brahmana came. So Parasar Bhattar invited the Brahmana into his house. And the Brahmana was very embarrassed, And because he's respected so much, and he became very nervous. So Parasar Bhattar asked the same question, who is the Paratattva? Immediately the Brahmana became very furious. And he threw the bowl of rice on the wall. He shouted at Parasar Bhattar. He said, I thought you are a great scholar. But what are you teaching your disciples without knowing the Paratattva? Lord Ranganatha, who is residing in this Sri Rangam temple, is the Paratattva. And then he left the place. So now Parasar Bhattar now said to his disciples, see, this Brahmana, he is having such a clear idea of the supreme truth and a strong conviction. Whereas the scholar Pandit, even after reading so many scriptures, is not sure about the supreme truth. That's why I respect this Brahmana so much. See, being inquisitive about learning Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam is good. It is good that being instituted to read Srimad Bhagavad-gītā, Srimad Bhagavatam and all. However, my Guru Maharaj used to say, chanting should continue very seriously. Chanting should continue very seriously. Only by chanting, our intelligence will become very clear. And when the intelligence becomes clear, now we can understand the conclusion of the scriptures. So chanting is very important. So in this story, through the Brahmana, see, though the Brahmana, no, he did not have any academical knowledge of scriptures. But because of his sincere chanting, he has a complete faith in the greatness of Krishna. In Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 3, verse 38, Suta Goswami says, only those who render unreserved, uninterrupted, favorable service unto the lotus feet of Lord Krishna. Very nice point. Those who render unreserved, no reservation, uninterrupted, favorable service to Krishna, who carries the wheel, who is Krishna, who carries the wheel of charity in his hand. Only that person who renders unreserved and favorable service can know the creator of the universe in his full glory, power and transcendence. So the word santataya in this verse means without any gap or uninterrupted. You see, consistency is a factor which is liked and appreciated by all in all walks of life. Consistency. That is Nityam Bhagavata Sevya. That is consistency. Nityam Bhagavata means Nityam doesn't mean, it also means regular, right? But regular means, suppose first of every month you read Bhagavatam, that is also regular. No, that's why Krishna Prabhupada always regular and always. Right. That is Nityam. So consistency is a factor. See, if the sun is not consistent in its service, okay, then the normal life of living entities in the world would be affected. But sun god, being devoted to Supreme Lord Krishna, has been rendering a service without any gap every day, consistently. Similarly, even a dutiful mother, no, is never inconsistent in taking care of her child. At work also, if we are work very consistently, our boss will be pleased, and will have faith in our credibility, right? And he will be willing to give responsible duty to us. Similar way, when we engage in the service of Krishna consistently, Krishna will be very pleased. And when Krishna is pleased, he will provide opportunities for more service. That's what Krishna confirms in this 10.11. Tesham satati yuktanam. To those who are constantly devoted to serving me with love, I give the intelligence by which they can come to me. So this is the open secret to enter Krishna's kingdom. In Chaitanya Charitamrita, the glories of the remnants of the Lord were personally explained by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in one of his pastimes in Antyalila. One day, Mahaprabhu approached the Simhadwara temple of Lord Jagannath and took darshan. So at that time, the offering of bhoga, known as Gopala Vallabha Bhoga, and Arati was done. After the Arati, the prasadam was taken out and the servants of Jagannath offered prasadam to Mahaprabhu. Mahaprabhu tasted the prasadam, and to him it tasted million times better than nectar. And his hairs all over the body stood on end, and tears flowed from his eyes. Mahaprabhu said, how come this prasadam is so tasteful? Certainly it must have been touched by the nectar of Krishna's lips. See, remnants left by Krishna are called phela, Phela, phela. Anyone who obtains even a small portion must be considered very fortunate. See, one who is ordinarily fortunate cannot obtain such mercy. Only persons who have the full mercy of Krishna can receive such remnants, prasadam. Also, see, in one occasion, when prasadam was brought to Mahaprabhu, when he was in the association of devotees like Ramananda Raya, Swarubhauma, and Swarup Damodar Goswami, they all tasted the prasadam. And Mahaprabhu explained, these ingredients in the prasadam, such as sugar, butter, they are all material. Everyone has tasted these material substances before. But now see their extraordinary taste and the uncommon fragrance in the prasadam. It is to be understood, Mahaprabhu is telling it is to be understood that the spiritual nectar of Krishna's lips has touched these ordinary ingredients and transferred to them all their spiritual qualities. So this prasadam has been made available only as a result of many pious activities. We might have done so much pious, that's why we are able to get the prasadam. So now taste it with great faith and devotion. Otherwise, we cannot get prasada. Sometimes we are at home, we are not able to go to the program, but it comes to you through some devotees. Srila Prabhupada has established centers all over the world where deity worship is carried on in all seriousness, right? So that people who come in touch with devotees and the temple, they get a chance to receive the Lord's remnants in form of prasad, in the form of flowers, right? We smell the flowers. By honoring them, they will be attaining purification of mind and senses. See, we go to Mangalarti, we go to other, right? Flowers are given. See, we get the arati, we take the arati, we smell the flowers, then offering bhogan, they take it as prasadam. So on regular consumption of these Lord's remnants, the senses will come under control gradually. Then one would receive the Lord's further mercy in the form of devotional service, which comprises of chanting, hearing, right? Then we get the eagerness to study more and more Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavad. Hear Krishna Katha, chant very nicely. This will stabilize one's intelligence to understand the absolute truth by the scriptures of Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavad. So this is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita. Ragadvesha vimuktestu Vishyan Indreshcharan Atma Vaishyer Vidheyatma Prasadam Adhigachati. But a person free from all attachment and aversion and able to control his senses through the regulative principles of freedom can obtain the complete mercy of the Lord. See, when one is very serious about advancing his spiritual life, Krishna bestows his further mercy in the form of shelter of a spiritual master. So when you are very serious, right? I want to advance in spiritual life. Krishna sends a spiritual master in the form of, right? And when we practice bhakti under the shelter of a spiritual master, when the bhakti fully blossoms, the Lord Krishna, he bestows his highest mercy, which is eradication of the ignorance in the heart of his devotee and reveals his supreme nature. So, by realizing the Lord's true form and nature, devotees, they reach the eternal spiritual kingdom. That is again confirmed in 10.11. So, one of the greatest contributions of Srila Prabhupada to this world is Krishna Prasadam. Honoring this prasadam by which the lives of millions of souls are changed, right, for good. Prasadam is not just a tasty vegetarian food, but it is spiritualized with the touch of Krishna. And that's why we are able to experience the wonderful transformation in our behavior. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So we should express our gratitude to our spiritual master and all the great devotees of Srila Prabhupada who have expanded this Krishna's mercy in the form of his remnants in different forms, right? And distributed it all over the world for our spiritual upliftment. See, when we purify our consciousness by bhakti, we can realize the presence of Krishna. And Krishna instills fearlessness in all of us. In Bhagavatam 10:2-17, while narrating about the appearance of Krishna, Shukadeva Goswami says to Parikshit Maharaj, while carrying the form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead within the core of his heart, Vasudeva, that is father of Krishna, right? Vasudeva bore the Lord's transcendently illuminating effulgence, and thus he became as bright as the sun. He was therefore very difficult to see or approach through the sensory perception. Indeed, he was unapproachable and unperceivable even for such formidable men as Kamsa. And not only for Kamsa, but for all living entities. See, in this verse, the word Dhama, you go to Vrindavan Dham, Mayapur Dham. The word Dhama is very nice to meditate. Srila Prabhupada very nicely explains this word in Krishna book, in the word-to-word equivalence and purport. Dhamma, Prabhupada describes Dhamma as spiritual effulgence. See, when Krishna is present in our lives, all the darkness of ignorance gets removed. Krishna himself assures in this said verse 10.11, Tesham evanukam partam aham ajnanajam tamaha anashayami atma bhavasto jnana dipena basata. That is, for those devotees who are always thinking of him, singing his glories, and constantly engaged in devotional service, to show them special mercy. Destroy with the shining lamp of knowledge the darkness born of ignorance. So wherever Krishna is present, there is effulgence. There is no darkness. In chapter 2 of Krishna book, Prabhupada beautifully describes Dhamma. Dhamma, that is the appearance of the form of Krishna anywhere. Appearance of form of Krishna anywhere, specifically within this heart, is called Dhamma. In the temple, in our own home, if you have deities, or even the photo, right? And especially in the heart, it is actually Dhamma. Dhamma refers not only to Krishna's form, but also his name, his qualities, paraphernalia. Everything becomes manifest simultaneously. That is why chanting of Hare Krishna mantra is Dham. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare. So Prabhupada very beautifully explains the word Dhamma in 10 to 17. Dhamma refers to the place where the Supreme Personality of God Krishna resides. So in the beginning of Bhagavatam 1:1, first verse, first canto, first chapter, first verse, it is said, Dhamna Svena Sada Nirasta Kuhakam Satyam Param Dhimahi. In the abode of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, there is no influence of material energy. Dhamna Svena Sada Nirasta Kuhakam. Any place where the Supreme Personality of Godhead is present by his name, by his form, by his qualities, or paraphernalia, immediately becomes a Dhamma. If you're just sitting and chanting, that becomes a Dhamma. If you're just offering bhoga to Krishna and taking his prasadam, that is a Dhamma. Associating with devotees, singing kirtans, Dhamma. Just calling people, neighbors, just 2, 3 people doesn't come to your home, open Bhagavad-gītā and read Bhagavad-gītā and discuss, that becomes a Dhamma. See, we speak of Vrindavan Dham, Dwaraka Dham, Mathura Dham, because in these places, the name, fame, qualities, and paraphernalia of the Supreme Godhead are always present. Similarly, if one is empowered by the Supreme Personality of Godhead to do something, in the core of his heart becomes a Dham. And thus he becomes so extraordinarily powerful, not only his enemies, but also people in general, they're astonished to observe his activities. Because he's unapproachable, his enemies are simply struck with wonder. The words, right? Durasado Atudurdarshaha. Vidurdarshan, right? So not only are the holy places, but the hearts of pure devotees are also a dham. So when Maharaj or Guru, all the acharyas come, no, we go meet them or hear them. Actually, it's a dham. In case of Vasudev, we find that when he was carrying Krishna in his heart, he became unapproachable even by Kamsa. His effulgence was so bright. In this regard, my Guru Maharaj, he used to give the example of fire. Krishna is like fire. We may be like dull, impure iron metal. But when the iron metal is put in fire, no, iron also becomes fiery and free from impurities. No one dares to touch the hot iron, correct? So, if we want to save ourselves from the influence of material energy, we must be fiery in devotional service and always carry Krishna in our heart. And Maharaj used to give example of live wire. Live wire, right? See, no one dares to touch a live wire because it is connected to the powerhouse. And mishandling the live wire, it will cause harm to the person who touches it. Correct? No. Whereas an ordinary wire which is not connected to the powerhouse, it is easily cut and it can be mishandled. We can do anything with it. But live wire, no, because it is connected to the powerhouse. Likewise, when we are also connected, our supreme powerhouse Krishna, when we are connected to that, our supreme powerhouse is Krishna. When we are connected to Krishna, no one will dare to touch us. But as soon as we stray away from Krishna, we are sure to face all the kicks from the material world. So how important it is to have Krishna's presence in our hearts and lives. That's what is given in this beautiful verse 10.11 Bhagavad-gītā. I stop here. Thank you very much, Prabhu Mataji. Garantara Srimad Bhagavad-gītā ki Jai Shri Prabhupada ki Ananta Guru Vancha Kalpatarubhasya Kripa Sindhubhayavcha Patitanam Pavanavasya. Thank you very much, Prabhupada. Hare Krishna. If you have any questions or any takeaways which you feel very useful for you so that you can put into practice in your daily life, you can share it. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Krishna.
The point that you told that you chant, that itself is a dham. It was, I never knew. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Dear,
Dandavat
thank you.
Pranam.
Hare Krishna, Surya Prabhu. Dandavat.
Thank you very much, Prabhuji. So, known information, but some small things we never understood previously. This class gives a lot of information, Prabhuji. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Dandavat Pranam. Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Dandavat. Thank
Hare
you.
Krishna,
Thank you,
Prabhuji. Thank
Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
you.
Hare Krishna,
Thank you,
Prabhuji.
Prabhuji.
Dandavat
Hare
Pranam.
Krishna.